What's going on, everybody? Episode 5, Prophecy Digital here. We're going to be talking a little something called the golden ratio that we've kind of figured out. I know I'm calling it golden ratio. There's a lot of different things, but it's definitely something that's been quite powerful for us in our understanding of predictive analytics and looking to the future. The podcast is future focused. We're going to start off with something that just happened recently at the close of the month with one of our clients, and just something we've been riding a high on. Honestly, it's been a pretty eye-opening experience, but also a very rewarding one. I know, Dave. Let me kick it over to you and just kind of give us your 1-2 on what just recently happened and how it all went down.
Yeah, so a little background. Alex and I were doing consulting calls from day one, and for the first 2 years of this company, it was the two of us on every single call.
We're still on them.
Yeah, and we're still doing it. And we're not doing it necessarily because we have to. We're doing it because it's that important to us to be, in the trenches with our clients. And there's benefit multiple ways. I mean, selfishly, we get new product ideas. We understand what's happening in different markets, different brands. There's I don't know, a dozen plus brands that we work with through our clients. So it's really important for us. Always want to be tapped into what's actually happening, sort of on the street type of thing. But it also keeps us really committed to what we do to make sure our models are working and all that stuff that we've talked about in the past. In this particular case, it was the only thing I can say is just invigorating. And Alex is right. We've been on a high about this, and not that it's like that unique to what we do every day, but it's a little bit different. We have a client that's got 3 stores of the same brand in, they're almost bordering each other in one market.
It's a perfect case study too. You couldn't have asked for something better.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's like it's like a case study in a market. And we're sitting there on the close. They know what their numbers are going to be. They're super engaged. And they just had a bunch of questions, a bunch of people on the call, and we went through it store by store, and each store had a totally different problem. It was really cool, and it kind of covered the gamut of what could happen in a market. So we've got one store that completely sold out, like they went through everything, and they ended up finishing number 1 in the state. So we were happy for them on that. And for them, it was like, we've got to make sure we're acquiring new customers immediately. One of the other stores was kind of like right in the middle, had some periods of activity, some periods of research, and customers still figuring it out. The other store, the exact opposite. It was very strongly customers were still thinking about it, still researching. Actually, we're at the very top of that sort of cycle as the way we look at it. But what we were able to do is, we were able to say, okay, we did the postmortem on the one that sold out of everything. We were looking at their inventory. We were guiding them on what they needed to do there, what kind of messaging, what channels, where they needed to go, and what that plan looked like. And there were some specific things on inventory, so we got very surgical geographically where they needed to be, all that. The one in the middle, there were some things there too, a little bit about inventory, just different things there, totally different case study. How do we stimulate demand there? There was an issue on a particular model that had substitution for used cars. So we gave them ammunition to go back and say, here was your missed opportunity on that one model, and here's the conversation you need to have with your staff to make sure you're moving things properly, and not leaving dollars on the table or letting your inventory age. And then the other store, it was very specific about, do not sell these cars too soon. The demand's coming. February is going to be a good month. Don't cut your profitability, hence our name. And the way we spell it, prophecy, PROF, like we want to protect their profitability. And that's exactly what we did. We said, hold out, give it another week, 2 max. But we meet with them every week. So we'll be able to tell them by next week that they should start, pulling the trigger on some of these deals. So we're sitting there and we're like, man, this is great. 3 different stores, 3 different problems. And we were able to solve them in real time. And that's what we're all about. For us, it's about, we're not going to come back to them in 2 weeks and tell them what to do. We're going to tell them in real time. Our modeling works towards that. And that's what we are. We're a solutions-based company. We want to solve problems right there, real time. And when we sell them initially in our pitch, we're like, there's no template, there's no playbook, there's no anything. And they saw that across 3 of their stores in real time. And we just walked away from that, man. We were so happy. We're like, this is why we set this company up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was really motivated to come on and talk about this because I think that's so important. There's so many agencies that are, set it and forget it. Like that is the furthest thing from what we do. So, Alex, how did you feel coming out? I mean, I know how I felt. I'm assuming you felt similarly.
Well, obviously, yeah. For me, it was validating. I think it was like you think about building something, you think about real life examples and scenarios. I mean, we've been doing this for quite some time, so it's not like this is the first time we've been vindicated on the way this platform was built, but this is one of the first times where we've been able to experience the same ownership group, the same processes across 3 different locations in a city, and then to see the landscape be so dramatically different between all 3 of these was just, it's eye-opening. And I think the staff on the other end of the call, as we're going through each of the data points, we're talking about the MMMs, we're talking about all the different things that kind of make us unique, and they're just like, wow. And I think for us, that's everything, especially being on client calls and continuing to like David was saying, it's like, keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. I think too many executives, too many people who own companies, they just don't, they originally start off with being focused with customers and then they kind of skip away from it. But to get back to this ratio, we've talked about this before. There was a big aha moment when this thing occurred. We both saw it immediately, and it was almost an internal challenge. Everyone was like, hey, you need to be able to take this method that you have in your head and you need to be able to show it somehow visually so that we can all learn it and adapt to it. And so it's one of those things where you see it now in action. You see it in 3 different areas of the country. You see it's kind of unspeakable. Without showing too much of it. And I think one of these days we should get on and we should probably show it. I bet you, Dave, we've got enough information to do a macro look of how automotive is going to be for that month. Like we could probably predict when things are going to be slow and when they're going to be busy based off the sample set that we have.
For sure.
I think it's a decent amount of it.
Oh yeah, we've got enough to do that. And the interesting thing about this ratio, it's like we came up with this from non-automotive sources, which is, I think, a really good lesson for anyone that runs a business. Like, don't get so tunnel focused on what's happening in your industry. There's amazing things happening elsewhere. We talked about this at one point in one of these recordings, but the main thing is, like, you got to get inspiration from all kinds of different places. And auto's been slow to move in some cases as it relates to innovation and technology, and it's kind of late to the game in a lot of ways. So for us, it was like, what else can we look at? And it really just kind of came from, Alex and I both have a lot of interest in the financial markets. So that's kind of where the inspiration came from. It's like, how does day trading work? How are they able to, be ahead of things? And there's so much information. How do you make that tangible? And that's kind of how we started it. And it really does work. If you look at traffic within a dealership or a market and the things that sort of push that around, from the economy, from what's happening, from what users do, we came up with our own method, and it works. It works well. We based our whole business on it, more or less. And we have clients tell us all the time, and we do these weekly calls and we tell them, here's what we think is going to happen. They're like, we're right the majority of the time, 95% of the time. And so the validation is there, but it's more about, for us, it's not about that. It's about, are we solving problems? Are they making more money? Are they selling more cars? Are they efficient in their spend? Are they doing this the right way? And that's where, the point about set it and forget it, like that is just the furthest thing. We can't do that. We wouldn't be doing our jobs. So it was really exciting for us, really validating, and just something that, the more we can do that, stay in touch with it. And for being a little vulnerable here, as the 2 guys that co-founded the company, there's a big part of us that needs to be focused on the future. We need to be thinking about, what's this company going to look like in 2 and 3 years? What are the products we need to have? Like, all the different things that we should be spending our time on. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to feel guilty about the fact that we're staying in touch with our customers either. It's too important.
No, not at all. I mean, I think that'll continue. I don't see any, off ramp from doing that anytime soon. I think it's a blessing when you have the right clientele. We post about this all the time about having the right clients and not, learning to say no to the wrong clients. I think it's an important lesson learned. But when you start looking at your own analytics, and for those of you who are still listening and have gotten to this point, there are 3 things that you need to probably go do and start to understand very, very closely. It doesn't matter if you're in automotive and e-commerce, if you're selling something online or trying to transact some way online, there are 3 key metrics that you need to be looking at. You got to look at your active users, your 7-day active users, your 28-day active users, and start playing around with some ratios that include those. Now, ours, we use a little bit, we take it a step further where there's some statistical inference. There's some other things that we apply to it to get our unique model that works very well in automotive. But for all of you, GA4's blessing, I think, are these ratios that are present. Again, active users, 7-day active users, 28-day active users. Check those out. That will unlock some secrets for you as far as what is going on with these cycles in your business. And then from there, take some approaches, right? Like if you're building up towards something, don't just hammer low funnel. You've got enough data to see that that's not going to work. Be everywhere that you can, amplify the trend that you see, and then turn off the inverse of that trend and just keep ebbing and flowing, which you'll start to find. And at least how we've built all of our technology, everything that we do, and we're starting to automate this, we'll be the only company that can do that. You'll start to find that these, you're buying low, selling high instead of selling high, buying low. And I'll tell you what, day trading is a very expensive lesson, but if you want to get in there and do it, you will see a lot of the ups and downs of predictability, a lot of the mathematical inference that's going on to predict some of this stuff. So we're there. We've taken us a long time to get there. We're happy to show you how to get there. But yeah, that's the golden ratio for us. And we're able to predict. And again, 3 stores, same brand, 3 different pictures as far as what was going on. One was heavy new, one was CPO, one was average. And it was like within 15 miles of each other. So stop doing cookie cutter approaches. It's not working anymore. Every environment, all these little cities across the country, these are all little microcosms of their own. And you've got to be able to be adaptable to those. So that's my rant. It's stop recommending one channel. Just stop.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you have to think about how you set up the different things that occur, how you get your event set up, how we're pretty tough on ourselves in terms of, what's a conversion, right? So that's the other piece about it too. You have to be fair in how you look at it. I mean, we talked about attribution. We've talked about some of these things before. Our goal isn't to sit there and take tons of credit for things. Our goal is to solve problems and to help our clients grow their business and do so profitably and really, incrementally. The other thing about this case study we're talking about, probably should have mentioned earlier, this is a dealer that's been with us for like 2 months. And the first month was basically learning to, get enough data in there, get everything set up properly. So we're really talking about almost like the first true month they've been with us that we've been able to really help get true insight into 3 different stores with 3 different situations. So even to the client, kept reminding them like, hey, wait till we have 6 months of data. Wait till you see what we can really do. I mean, this is just, we're looking at days. How did things change day by day? So we're like super excited about where this is going. And with our longer term clients, we're at the point where they completely trust what we recommend. We don't even have to have hour-long conversations anymore. Because of the track record of performance. So we're super thrilled about it. We're excited about getting in front of more people to show them what we do. And we're really proud of the results we get. And it's because of things like this that we can get them. So as Alex said, reach out. We're happy to walk people through this, show them a different way to look at the world. And it's how we've been able to really affect pretty massive change with our clients. And that's where we're at. We're excited about it.
That's it. I think that'll round us out here for episode 5, talking about revealing the golden ratio, or at least discussing it. We'll have a lot more on this in future episodes as far as talking about how we break these things down. If you're watching us on video, we'll probably do some presentations where we're showing you a few different things. If you're listening in, we'll try to be as descriptive as possible. But that's it from us. David Ramanick, Alex Matavosian from Prophecy Digital, signing off. Episode 5. Thanks all.